Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of AEW Dynamite for January the 27th, 2021. We are 1 week away from the Beach Break AEW special edition, but there were a few noteworthy things on this show. So let's go ahead and get started with the recap. Now, there was a major technical problem for the first 10 minutes of AEW Dynamite. I turned it on. We had Eddie Kingston making his entrance for his match against Lance Archer when all of a sudden the feed cut out. It went black and the audio went out. It was like this for about 10 minutes. And when the video feed returned, we had a Jon Moxley promo. He was talking about how he likes to have sex in the morning because it gets your day off to a good start. And he was basically cutting a promo about the Beach Break match next week, which is going to be a 6-man tag team match. He's teaming up with Rey Fenix and Pac. He said to saddle up because next week it is going to be gang warfare. Nice little promo here from Moxley. And what a line about the sex in the morning to see on my screen after 10 minutes of nothing. I did watch a few clips of the Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer match on the AEW Twitter account. And basically the gist of it, Lance Archer was dominating the match. He picked up Eddie and chokeslammed him over the top onto the apron, and Eddie just crashed all the way to the floor. But then we had the Butcher and Blade come out with a beaten up Jake the Snake Roberts, Lance Archer's manager. Then Bunny came out of nowhere when the referee was distracted and handed a foreign object to Eddie. Eddie then used the object. Lance Archer came towards him, and Eddie used the object with a back fist and picked up the victory over Lance Archer, which is fine if you're going to have Lance Archer lose the match. This was about as good of a way to do it, where the bad guys, they use the numbers game to take advantage. And Lance really wasn't a stupid babyface because he did not see the foreign object be given to Eddie. But he did turn his back, which, again, you could say maybe that's a stupid babyface, but he was concerned about his friend, Jake Roberts, his friend and manager, somebody who is very near and dear to him. In this case, it wasn't as bad as some of the typical interference spots on WWE TV usually. This was fine. We then had a promo from Sting and Darby Allin. They were in some old, broken down warehouse, and Sting was talking about how Team Taz is right about Darby Allin. Darby is a hooligan, or a hoodlum, I think is what he said. Same thing, hoodlum, hooligan, whatever. And Darby talked about how on the streets, it's all about survival. And of course, this was a reference to the upcoming street fight at the Revolution pay-per-view, which is now on March 7th. It is going to be a tag team match, Sting and Darby Allin, probably a match that will be cinematic in nature, so Sting will not have to take any bumps. And then Darby finished this promo by throwing his skateboard through a window to show that, yes, he is indeed a hoodlum. But Sting, he one-upped it. He started smashing the windows, trying to smash the windows. He finally succeeded. He smashed a window with his baseball bat and said he, too, is a hoodlum. Promo was fine. I had no real issues with it. And we had a tag team match between the Varsity Blondes up against Chris Jericho and MJF. Now, before the match, MJF cut a promo, and he talked about how last time he was in the ring with Griff Garrison embarrassed himself, and MJF made Garrison an offer: just quit now. Quit while you're ahead. Garrison, of course, refused. He punched MJF, and we had our match. MJF quickly tagged out to Chris Jericho, but Pillman and Garrison, they had a good showing here. Pillman got a near fall on Jericho. However, he showed some frustration, which ended up being his downfall. He went for a springboard clothesline, I think, but got caught with the Judas effect. And then Jericho hit a picture-perfect lion salt. Last week, it was not so picture-perfect, and everybody was calling out Jericho. This time, Jericho hit it very nicely, and Tony Schiavone was even like, how about that one? Jericho had this huge grin on his face as he was pinning Pillman Jr. Basically, just, you could see it just with his face. He was telling everybody to suck it. That's what he was doing. I thought this was pretty funny. Match was fine. I like the fact that the Varsity Blondes are getting some TV time. They're basically enhancement talent right now, but I do think that there is a lot of potential with these guys in the future. We had Shaquille O'Neal footage shown from the AEW Awards that took place earlier in the evening before Dynamite. And Shaq essentially challenged Cody Rhodes to a match. He said, name the time and place, and he even suggested March, sometime in March, to do the show. Maybe Shaq just did not know that Revolution was on March 7th. He just said March, which, you know, I can give him a break on that because that wasn't the original date. But anyways, we just had to put two and two together that it was a challenge for Revolution. We had Cody Rhodes come out for a promo. Tony Schiavone did the interview and was asking about Jade and what happened a few weeks ago on Dynamite. And Cody said that his pitch would have been a tag team match, him and Brandy Rhodes versus Shaquille O'Neal and Jade. However, Brandy Rhodes is pregnant. So therefore, that is no longer an option, that tag match. He handed the mic over to Arn Anderson, and Arn cut this promo and brought up how Cody's dad, Dusty, had this grueling match with Tully Blanchard and then flew to the hospital to watch the birth of Cody, and just had some advice for Cody to think about this match coming up and what he's going to do with his child on the way. Brought up how Shaq has dominated his sport for many years, but then Arn brought down Red Velvet, who has been involved in the storyline with Jade Cargill and Brandy Rhodes over the past several weeks. And she said she's tired of Jade, and Cody might not lay a hand on Jade, but she will. And she's going to stir Jade's bitch ass up. Basically issuing the challenge, or accepting Shaq's challenge, but issuing the challenge for a tag team match at Revolution. And this was pretty good. I know a lot of people are not high on the idea of Shaq wrestling, but if you were going to do it, I think this is the best way to do it. I think if you're going to have Shaq in a match, a tag team match is, in fact, the best way to go. We'll see what happens. Shaq's got some time to train, and hopefully he can do a few moves. This will actually be his first match. Crazy enough to think, because Shaq, he's a big wrestling fan. He's been involved in a lot of different matches over the years. He came out with Hulk Hogan, Bash at the Beach 94. He was backstage at a Raw during the Attitude Era. He was a guest host on Raw. He's done a lot of stuff over the years. He's definitely a fan. So hopefully he'll be able to get some training and put on a good performance. And whatever he does do, it looks respectable. And it should help AEW get some eyeballs. You know, it's a good thing for the company to get the mainstream publicity. And we have a $5 super chat from Anthony. He says, Aaron, been watching for 10 years and never knew who designed your logo. Also, if Y2J came back to WWE, who would you want him to feud with? Well, I made the logo, so if it's terrible, it's on me, but I try. And as far as Chris Jericho, if he ever came back to WWE, who would he feud with? That's a good question. I think he would feud with somebody different. Knowing Chris Jericho, I think that he would want to feud with somebody he hasn't feuded with before. I don't think he would want to come back and feud with, say, Kevin Owens or any of the guys he worked with during his last run. I think he would want to do something different and face a new person. So maybe like a Keith Lee, if Lee is a big star over the next several years. And that's, of course, if Jericho wrestles again in WWE. I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame, but will he wrestle again? That's a question mark. I think there's a decent chance he will have one more match in WWE someday, but you never know. And by the time he's done with AEW, he just might be done as an in-ring competitor. We had Hangman Adam Page versus Ryan Nemeth, who is the brother of Dolph Ziggler. And he looked very much like his brother. He had the bleach blonde hair and the colorful tights and even wrestled a lot like his brother. Very similar in their look and in-ring style. And Matt Hardy came down during this match to watch. Ryan got a little bit of offense, but ultimately was beaten by the buckshot lariat. And after the match, we had Matt Hardy basically applauding Page, and Page invited Hardy into the ring. Tony Schiavone was there to interview Hardy, and Hardy said he just wanted to support Adam Page. There was nothing else to it. He's just concerned about Adam Page being lost without his friends, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And he said Adam is a good person and deserves to be happy. Matt said that Adam has this little locker room across from catering, while Matt has this huge locker room, and said that Matt Hardy is welcomed, or Page is welcome to dress in Hardy's room anytime he wants. No strings attached. And yeah, as Nick Glavin says, Ryan Nemeth looked a lot like Dolph Ziggler in the Spirit Squad days. Very much so. I mean, I think that's a very good comparison right there. The old Spirit Squad version of Dolph Ziggler, whatever name. What was he? Was he Nicky? I forgot which one he was, Nicky or Mitch. I forgot the names that they used. I think he was, Nicky, because he's Nick. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. You know, I'm getting old and I forgot all the Spirit Squad names, even though they would say them every single time they came to the ring. We had Dax Harwood versus Jungle Boy. And I would say that this was arguably the match of the night, maybe the best match of the year in AEW Dynamite so far. This was a damn good match between these guys. But before I get to that, a super chat here, $5 from Swats Fly. He says, thank you for streaming on Twitch, bro. Very glad we'll watch more. Also stream under the sports category talk and podcast. Don't pull much the TV. No DQ, DOT, COM. Well, thank you for that, and I apologize if I butchered the reading of that. I got to figure out how to make the text a little bit bigger. But I appreciate the super chat. And yes, this is being simulcast on Twitch, and it's also on Periscope. So make sure you guys subscribe to the No DQ Twitch account, because I will be posting a lot more content over there in the weeks to come at twitch.tv/NoDQDOTCOM. So yes, Dax Harwood versus Jungle Boy. And yes, Curtis, I know the year has just started, but this was a really good match. We had a video package beforehand, and right when the match started, we had Luchasaurus handcuffed to Cash Wheeler and Tully Blanchard so they would not interfere. Pretty long match here, back and forth, and there were a lot of near fall back and forths, maybe like a dozen of them. You would have Harwood with a near fall and then Jungle Boy with a near fall, and they just kept going back and forth for a while. But then Jungle Boy picked up the win with his snare trap submission, and you had Wheeler on the outside attempting to make the save, but he could not do so because he was handcuffed to Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy was having none of it. So nice victory here for Jungle Boy. Announcers were acting like it was the biggest win of his career, and it probably was. It was a big win for Jungle Boy. And after the match, everybody was cheering him, and this was a taped show without the usual crowd that they have. And you had the people there, aka the wrestlers and various other people. They were humming Jungle Boy's song, which is from the Tarzan Boy movie. And Gary says this match was executed on every level. Jungle Boy looked like a shining star in the making. I loved how the match ended clean. It made Jungle Boy really strong. Match of the night for both NXT and AEW. And Mike B says your Twitch account is awesome. Well, thank you for that. Lots of no DQ CAW stuff going up. I already have a few videos up already. So if you were a fan of the old video game league, I have a few videos up from various events with my added commentary. There's a video with Wade Needham, the old voice of No DQ CAW. And like I said, some of the No DQ streams like this will be simulcast on this channel, on YouTube, and on Twitch. After the match was over, Tully Blanchard, with his vintage heel tactics, he grabbed some powder and threw it in Luchasaurus's eyes. Wheeler then attacked Jungle Boy. There was a triple team attack. They did a spike pile driver with Tully Blanchard coming off the top onto Luchasaurus, and then they handcuffed Luchasaurus to the ring rope, and they grabbed some scissors and cut off the horns from his mask. We had Marco Stunt with a steel chair, SCU top flight. They all made the save. But yeah, pretty good post-match angle here. I enjoyed it. Like I said, match was very good. We had Team Taz backstage, and they were confronting these merchandise guys. There was a merchandise stand set up near the AEW production truck. And is this a legit merchandise stand? I've never been to Daly's place, so I have no idea. And with the pandemic, I don't know if they have a special location, but I feel like this was a merch table that was just set up for this angle, but I'll let it go. I'm not going to complain about it. Team Taz, they were upset that these guys were selling Sting and Darby Allin merchandise. So the merchandise guys got beat up, and it's funny because they did a throwback to WCW Nitro in 1996 when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall beat up all the WCW guys in the parking lot. Kevin Nash took Rey Mysterio and threw him head first into the trailer. And this happened to one of the production guys via Brian Cage. And then Ricky Starks slammed another one of them through the table. So this was their message for Sting and Darby Allin at the Revolution pay-per-view. We had Britt Baker versus Shanna. And can you guys guess what time this match took place at? I'll give you a hint. It was right before 9:30 and after 9:20. 9:25. Pretty much the standard time slot for the women's matches. I still don't understand why the women don't get like a different time slot on the show. Why not 8:25 or open the show or close the show? They're always in that 9:25 to 9:30 spot every single week. So anyways, Rebel was out there getting involved. She handed a glove over to Britt so Britt could put on the lockjaw, but Shanna rolled up. Britt got a near fall. However, her comeback was short-lived, and Britt picked up the win with the lockjaw. And after the match, the beatdown continued. Britt with a curb stomp and then put on the lockjaw again until Thunder Rosa made her save. They will be competing against each other on next week's Beach Break show. Hopefully, they're not in 9:25 spot. I'm really hoping they do not have that 9:25 spot next week. Give them something different, please. And speaking of the women's division in AEW, Riho is coming back. It was announced that she will be part of the AEW Women's Eliminator Tournament. She will be facing Serena Deeb, the NWA Women's Champion. They did not announce an actual date for it, but they said it's coming soon. And there's been talk about Riho coming back. There have been reports that they're planning to bring her back, and she is, in fact, coming back to AEW soon. So that's good for her. She's been out of AEW since pretty much when the pandemic started. I think she was on the first show, the Empty Arena show, the first one, and then she was gone after that. We had MJF backstage talking to Sammy Guevara, who was upset about last week because Wardlow got involved in that three-way tag match. And MJF was like, he did not tell Wardlow to get involved. He apologized. He said it will never happen again. But Sammy Guevara wasn't buying what MJF was selling. So there are still problems with the members of the Inner Circle. And I guess we'll see what happens next week with those guys and where this storyline goes next. Sammy, I feel like there's going to be a swerve, and MJF and Sammy are going to be in cahoots, and Jericho's going to be the one kicked out. I still think that's the way to go. The Nation of Domination angle where The Rock kicked out Farouk. I think they got to do that. Jericho's got to go babyface, even though he's Jerichovid, as everybody likes to say. I still think at this stage of his career, Jericho should be a babyface on his way out, putting over the younger talent. I think that's the way to go. So, yeah, if Sammy and MJF were in cahoots and they double-crossed Jericho, I think it'll be a really good way to wrap up this Inner Circle storyline with Jericho as the leader. We then had our main event of the evening, which was the Young Bucks, the AEW Tag Team Champions, teaming up with the Good Brothers, the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, going up against the Dark Order, 4 members of the Dark Order, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. And before the match, there was a promo from the champs. Anderson and Gallows used their old beat up John Cena line, but said they're going to beat up John Moxley. And Matt and Nick were cool with this as long as the Mark Stooge, Don Callis, doesn't get involved. We had Omega show up during this promo, and then Don Callis arrived, and his face was all bandaged up. Omega said they need to talk, but the Young Bucks just wanted to get to the ring and get to business. So that's what they did, and we had our match. We had John Silver getting in the face of Luke Gallows, and Gallows did the old big guy making fun of the little guy. He got on his knees, and of course, Silver took advantage of the situation and went right after Gallows, brought the fight to him. The champs did manage to get the upper hand as the match went on, and they were on the same page. They did the 2 sweet, and Gallows tripped Reynolds. Gallows was on the outside of the ring, so Evil Uno tripped Matt tit for tat. Dark Order, they hit a lot of their moves. They were working well together as well. They all hit moves on Matt Jackson. However, the pin was broken up, and then the champs managed to regain the advantage. The champs ended up hitting 3 simultaneous power bombs on the outside to the apron, and then they all got back in the ring and did a 4-way super kick. All 4 of them hit a super kick to Stu Grayson. Evil Uno was able to make the save, but then Uno got hit with the Magic Killer, and then the Bucks hit the Dave Meltzer driver to pin Grayson and pick up the victory. After the match was over, we had a promo from the tag team champs, the Young Bucks, and they talked about next week's Beach Break Battle Royal. There's a tag team battle royal. The winning team will face the Bucks at Revolution. However, the Bucks are also in the match, and if they win, they get to pick their opponents at Revolution, and they teased that if they win, they will pick their friends, the Good Brothers. Rey Fenix ran down to attack them, and he got overwhelmed, but then Jon Moxley arrived. Omega ran down to the ring. Omega tried to attack Moxley with a boot, but Moxley caught him and hit the paradigm shift, laid out Kenny Omega to wrap up this week's edition of AEW Dynamite. Overall, I thought the show was fine. I did not think it was a home run, but it was a solid show. Nice build up for next week. And really, that's what it was. It was more of a setup for next week's show. We did have a really solid main event. And like I said, the match between Harwood and Jungle Boy, definitely worth checking out. And a few good promos on the show. You had the setup for the Shaq match. But I'm more curious to see Shaq show up on Dynamite and be in the ring rather than just cut some promo in a studio. So for me, that'll be when I get hyped up for that match. Overall, though, not bad. I'm going to give the show a B- this week. Nick Glavin gives it a B. Curtis Butler also gives the show a B. And Gary says the show was a hell of a better show than last week. Yeah, it was definitely a better show than last week. Still not at the level of the top tier Dynamites, but like I said, there were a few things worth checking out. And Calvin Bowman also gives the show a B, as does MVP Kev. So a lot of Bs across the board. Mohammed also with a B and Lewis with a B. So yeah, people liked Dynamite. It was definitely a watchable show. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Again, twitch.com/NoDQDOTCOM. Follow me there. And make sure you follow No DQ on social media at NoDQDOTCOM on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate it. And if you are watching and would like to subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. Subscribe and make sure you turn on the notifications. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Take care, be positive, and stay safe. I will see you guys next time.